I think it is unfair that because one undocumented immigrant killed a wonderful human being, that all immigrants are being blamed for that killing.
Well, that's Univision host Jorge Ramos saying Kate's law is unfair. He's the same guy who recently got into a squabble with Donald Trump over his immigration plan. Katie Pavlich is here. All right, Kate. Sorry, Kate Pavlich. Katie Pavlich. What about Kate Steinle? How about being fair to her?
And that's the big question here. And, you know, Jorge Ramos in this situation is defending criminals. He's defending lawlessness, and he has no respect, as he claims, for the families, not just Kate Steinle's family, by the way, many families around the country who are victims of violent, illegal alien crime. Now let's go over what Kate's law says here, because Jorge Ramos claims that Kate's law is unfair, not just to criminal, violent, illegal aliens who have been deported, but all illegal immigrants. Kate's law specifically says if you are deported from the country and you come back into the United States illegally, it's an automatic, mandatory 5 years in federal prison. That is pretty fair when it comes to looking at the types of people who we are sending out of the country. Remember, Kate Steinle's killer had 7 felonies and 5 deportations. If we maybe had Kate's law in practice before then, maybe Kate Steinle would be alive today.
Well, Jorge Ramos says that the law, Kate's law, stereotypes a whole community, blames a whole community. Is that accurate? Does it?
The only people who are stereotyping is Jorge Ramos and how he thinks Americans feel about undocumented or illegal immigrants. I find it interesting how Jorge Ramos never gives Americans credit for actually being for a pathway to citizenship, being very generous with the way that they share their country with people who come here, even illegally. It's also interesting that Jorge Ramos has no respect for our laws when his own home country of Mexico has very strict laws when it comes to illegal immigration. They don't treat illegal immigrants kindly there. And so this comes down to him thinking it's okay to break our laws and not willing to embrace the ones that we want to put on the books.
Ramos doesn't seem to be behaving like a journalist. He seems to be behaving like a politician who is advocating a particular political point of view. He seems to be in that mode at this moment. You agree?
Well, and that is one of the interesting parts of this interview is Jorge Ramos will not directly say yes or no on whether he supports Kate's law, and he says, well, I'm not a politician, I'm not going to support or reject any kind of law, when he clearly says that the law is unfair to illegal immigrants. He thinks that it affects everyone, when really we're talking about violent criminal aliens who have been deported multiple times, who come back to this country and commit crimes that take innocent people's lives that could have been prevented. There's no excuse for that, and him, speaking out against Kate's law not only makes him an activist, which we all know he is, but also, again, means he's defending criminals and he's defending lawlessness and has no respect for the laws of this country.
Katie Pavlich, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Stuart.